There are many reasons why being single is great, but the best one by far is you can get yourself something like this.
Nice.
Hey guys, Stype here with a list of the greatest single-seater cars ever made. Let's roll. Ferrari Monza SP1. There are Ferraris and then there are Ferraris, the special kind of models shown and sold only to the select few before the public even learns about them. I'm talking about limited edition, the secret club, eyes wide shut kind of stuff. One such car is the Icona series Monza SP2, which is basically an 812 superfast with no roof, no windshield, and a prettier body inspired by the old Ferrari race car. Luckily for this topic, the Monza also comes in a single-seater variant, the SP1. The price estimated around $2 million. And let me tell you, for that amount, I'd expect a bit of better conversion job than just throw out the other seat and cover up the empty space with a body panel. Peek around this hole and you'll find the door panel, the climate vent, the glove box. It's all there, just not accessible. Not that that will worry you, because up front is an 800 horsepower Ferrari V12 and you're completely exposed to it. The sounds, the smells, the vibrations, and somewhat unspectacularly, a face full of bugs and stones for you. Ferrari engineered this invisible air shield, but from every review that I've watched so far, it doesn't really work. Still, it's an experience like no other, and with just 500 Monzas ever built, a very limited experience too. So don't be a selfish asshole who goes for the single seat version, and give your wife, your friend, your dog the opportunity to experience it too.
Joey
doesn't share car. Vanwall GPR. It may not look like it, but in 2009, this ancient looking thing was actually the newest British sports car. It was conceived to be a modern interpretation of the 1958 Vanwall F1 racer, and unless you're that super boring kind of guy who knows the entire history of the sport, that name will mean nothing to you. Although forgotten, Vanwall did win the first ever F1 Constructors Championship, but soon after that, they went tits up and stayed that way for a long 50 years. Then this Arthur guy, who uses Comic Sans on his website, decided to buy the brand and do something with it. That something is what we're talking about here, the modern Vanwall GPR. The body's the same, but the rest of it, new, improved, and for road use. Like you can hang your number plates, at least on the back. There's a windshield to keep you from looking like a raccoon, and these tread-looking mudguards will keep everyone around you from looking like my toilet bowl after I had some Mexican food, you know what I'm saying? It's got headlights, turn lights, modern suspension, the brakes work, and instead of a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder, there's now a 6-liter V12 from a Jaguar XJS, which breathes fire through those beautiful side exhausts. Yeah, they'll burn your pants off each time you get in or out, but come on, it's so worth it! Plus, it's a 50s F1 car for the road. Can it get any cooler than that? Probably not. Peel P50. Have you ever seen that WALL-E movie set in the future where everyone is fat and floats around in those hovering chairs? Well, that future kind of happened in post-World War II Europe. Following the misery and destruction, hardly anyone had money to buy a car, which then gave birth to these. They were cheap, frugal, and well, better than walking or cycling. The smallest among these was the Peel P50, which, as you can imagine, didn't come with much else other than the bare essentials. One headlight for when it's dark, one wiper for when it rains, it's got a roof, a 50cc moped engine, one door, and one seat. Nothing else. Not even a reverse gear. When you need to back up, you're supposed to get out and drag it back by this handle, which is fine since the P50 weighs less than an average child. Well, average American child.
Son of a bitch!
Some may laugh at the Peel for being comedically small, like, ha, The Rock can barely fit inside it. But if you aren't a roided up giant and you live in a city and your daily trips are mostly a lonely affair, then what more do you need? Sadly, not many P50s have survived, only 27, and they go for insane prices these days. But you can still buy a 2024 Model 2. Yes, they're back in production and are road legal even in the United States, somehow. Just be careful around those MAGA trucks. They'll think they ran over a turtle. Braga R1R. How often have you heard this phrase? It's a race car for the road. Well, I'm here to tell you that in most cases, that's not true at all. Usually you get a regular road car with some racing tech brought over, or in homologation cases, a civilized, padded up, watered down version of the racer. Seriously, this is not that. However, things are a bit different with the Praga R1R. Although this Czech manufacturer started making cars more than 100 years ago, lately they're mostly known, if at all, for this, the R1, which is one of the fastest and most cost-effective purpose-built race cars in the world. And for all you masochists out there, yes, there is a road version too, the R1R. R, in this case, meaning the road. Anyway, Praga didn't exactly blow $1 billion or $2 developing it. They literally took the race version, checked what was missing for it to be road legal, and just bolted those things on. A muffler, a place to put your number plates, a taller riding suspension so you don't scrape all over the road, and that's about it. The rest is just as hardcore, as ugly, and as uncomfortable as with the racer. I mean, look at the size of that door opening. You'll need one of these to get in. Getting out? Better get some help. Get out! And sure, you can check the two-seater option too, but don't. The last time two guys invaded each other's personal space like that, they were on the set of Brokeback Mountain. Good movie, by the way. Rinspeed Rhone. You know, at first, I was on the fence about featuring a Rinspeed concept in this video that's only about road legal production cars, but this Rhone, man, it's simply too cool to pass on. Anyway, if you know anything about the Rinspeed, you know that this, for the lack of a better word, tuner, makes some of the craziest automotive ideas an actual reality. Remember the 007 Lotus submarine? Well, they made a fully working one. You want to go both on land and in water in the same car? Sure thing. You want a two-seater that expands into a four-seater like it just took some Viagra? Yes, they built that too. And then there's this Rhone, or is it R1, which makes you feel like you're driving a superbike. It's got the single-seat cockpit slash pod slash thing, which leans into the corners in the same way a biker would lean in order to keep its balance. Not that the balance is really an issue when you have all four wheels on the ground, but the sensation of flowing through the bends all zen-like without being pushed out of the seat or ending up like this is something you can't experience in any other car, ever. The dynamic seat pod thing also does this trick where it can sink or rise by 12 inches. Go down for better weight distribution at high speeds, or go up for better visibility when maneuvering around tight spaces or when parking. As for the performance, think something like the Mazda Miata, a 1.8 liter producing 120 horsepower, 1,600 pounds of weight, and a 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds. Won't set a road on fire, but it would feel very special still. Dodge Challenger Demon is B-I-G, big. Big enough for 5 seats, and yet, as standard, it only comes with 1. That's because the Demon was made to be the fastest out-of-the-factory road-legal car that you can race down the drag strip. And so, in with all the drag spec parts that make it go fast, and out with everything that slows it down, like having the weighty passenger seat and the rear bench. It's a hell of a car, and not one that you can just walk in and buy. Before they let you drive away, Dodge will make you sign a waiver that releases them from any of the liability if anyone gets hurt due to improper use.
No me fault.
Like, you won't drive it in the rain because the drag spec tires won't work. Or you won't take anyone else with you, well, because there are no seats.
Well, duh.
Nor will you attempt to install any of the extra seats yourself because there's no seat belts either. If you really, really want the Demon with the full interior, because you want to use your car as a car, the passenger seat is an optional extra, which will cost you $1 whole. The same goes for the rear bench seat too. Hey, you won't be doing that $965 anymore, but ultimately, guess how many people cared about that? Out of the 3,315 Demons produced, only 16 were sold as single-seaters. Who knew that even with a drag car, the numbers don't really matter all that much? Anyways, it's time for the honorable mentions. Let's see if you can guess them. And at number 1, McMurtry Spearling. It may look like some oversized, oddly proportioned rectal suppository with wheels and wings, but this track toy literally takes everything you know about driving physics and throws it away. The Spearling's insanely quick, as it would be with 1,000 electric horses on tap and just 1,000 kilos of weight, but that's not why. It's because of the way it generates the grip. The McMurtry engineers placed 2 fans that suck air beneath the car to make it stick to the ground, giving it more traction. It's like downforce, except it works even when stationary. And how much downforce do these fans generate? Twice as much as the car weighs, 2,000 kilos. This means with the fans running, you can park it upside down. Or you can take it on the track and smash every record ever set. 0 to 60, 0 to 100, and back to 0, quarter mile, and of course, lap records too. And then there's the amount of lateral Gs that this thing can pull in corners. A Nissan GTR, for instance, can do 1.2 when turning, which is enough to break Jeremy Clarkson's neck. The Spearling, around 3 Gs. That's why the interior is completely shrunken in around you to keep you immobilized. Not gonna lie, that looks very claustrophobic to me, but without such an interior womb, you'd probably be thrown out of the window if you're cornered too sharply. All this, all those numbers, records, they are all prototype figures. The final track version was already announced to be even faster, and there will be a road version too. Prepare to see some of the most gruesome crash scenes ever, is all I'm gonna say here. And that's all I've got for you today. Go watch something else now, and I'll see you in the next one.